Welcome to the Build on Beauty podcast, where beauty is born skin deep. Now, here's your host, author, speaker, entrepreneur, Cornell Jermaine.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a special guest with us, and we have a lot to talk about with her. She is a licensed barber, professional designer, and hairstylist of natural hair specialist and educator, founder and CEO of Mahogany Hair Revolution Salon and Trichologist Clinic, and the current president of the California Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. Please help me welcome Dr. Kari Williams. Hi, Kari. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. We have so much that we can talk about, and if we went on about the great things that you have going on, we'd be sitting here for hours. I'm so proud of all that you're doing, and we're going to touch on some of the things that you're working on, and we know that you are a professional in the hair industry. I want to get started though with how you became a part of the hair industry. What pushed you and drove you into this area of work?
I'm one of those stylists who I've been doing hair since I was a kid. So I've always loved hair. My journey into the professionalism of the industry started when I was in college. I was studying to go into marketing and advertising, but I was still styling hair, on the side. And I just asked myself that question, being in a collegiate environment, what can I do for the rest of my life? Love it. And then the afterthought is I can get paid for this too. And when I was really, really honest with myself, the answer was hair. So it was really at that point that I began to decide how I would shift the decisions I was making at that time in my life so that I could pursue a career in hair care. And that actually started with me getting my barber's license. And I chose to become a barber because I was already braiding and twisting and locking. I had this natural gift to style women's hair in its natural state. And so I figured, why not expand my clientele base? Again, I was an advertising and marketing major. So I'm like, what can I do to increase my market? And I said, I can serve men. And so at that point, I attended a barber school part-time in San Francisco. And that began my journey. I started to research classes and workshops that I could pay for and attend, so that once I finished school, I had all the tools that I needed to be acknowledged in the professional industry, or to be able to work in the professional industry and do what it is I do now. So that's how it all began.
Now, as a little girl styling hair, did you really see all that you were working on? Did you see the length and breadth of what it is that you do as a little girl?
I didn't. I really didn't. And even still, I'm amazed at just the doors and the opportunities that are opened up to me through pursuing this passion of hair. I mean, as a little girl, and even throughout my collegiate years when I decided I want to do hair professionally, the only thing that I could conceive in my own mind was I want to own my own salon. Like, that was, at that time, what I felt was the height of the career in the industry, that owning your own business and not just being a stylist in a salon or a booth renter. So that's really what I was aspiring to. And so to see all the doors and the opportunities that have been opened up to me in my journey thus far, I'm just like, okay, God, the opportunities are really endless. And so I'm open to whatever comes my way. And I just consider it a blessing that I can be a vessel of inspiration to other people to see that it doesn't have to stop at just being a hairstylist or being a salon owner. You can take this career and this passion and this talent as far as you can go with it.
That is so true. Now, speaking of salons, you are the founder and CEO of Mahogany Hair Revolution Salon. That name alone is weighty. You got to tell me how you came about with that, and share with us the vision of the salon itself.
Yes, the name of the salon actually came to me in college again. Once I decided this is what I'm going to do, then the name came to me. And literally when I say God gave me the name, he gave me the name. I was asleep. I'll never forget this experience. I was asleep, and the voice of God literally hit me and said, write this down. And I fought for a minute, and I finally scribbled on a piece of paper the name Mahogany. So the following day, I woke up and I began to just ask God, why did you have me write this name? Why did you have me write this name? And so after a couple of hours of just meditating, it hit my spirit, this is the name of your business. And so I did a search on the name, and I saw that there actually existed a salon called Mahogany. It was in a different country, I believe, maybe a different state, but I saw that it existed. So when I began to work on my business plan or my business idea at the time, which was I wanted to distinguish myself from what I knew existed already in the hair care industry. I wanted to take my own specialization, which was natural hair, and make a salon that was exclusive to natural hair. So I began to look up the definition of mahogany, and I came across a very unique definition that described mahogany not only as the premier wood in the world, but that it was a wood with interlocking grains that ranged from straight, wavy to curly. And I said, okay, God, I get it. That's hair. Hair ranges from straight, wavy to curly. And so knowing that I was going to take this drastic change of establishing a salon that only served natural hair, that we didn't do any heat styling, Hair Revolution was what I added on, one, to distinguish myself, but two, when I looked at the definition of revolution, not only is the definition of revolution a drastic or far-reaching change, but if you think about revolution, it also represents a full turn, 360 degrees. And again, in the spirit of my collegiate years, I was in this academic environment and I was studying market trends. And I noticed that the trend at that time, this was about 2003, the trend at that time, natural hair was starting to become more and more popular in the South and on the East Coast. So I began to make predictions about the market at that time. And I said, natural hair is going to expand. More and more women are going to see it as an option. So with that, I wanted my business name to represent what I saw the trend in the market was going towards. It was going towards a mahogany hair revolution. We were going to make a 360-degree turn and go back to what it is that we know. And also it was going to be a drastic change. I was doing something drastic and different at the time to set up a salon that only served natural hair. And that was the origin.
That is great. Now, in addition to Mahogany Hair Revolution Salon, it's also a tag to that, and it's and Trichology Clinic. This is what is fascinates me because I just love this addition to the business. You have to tell us. I know many of us in the profession know what that is, but many don't. Explain what a trichologist does and what services you offer within that area of the business.
Yes, a trichologist is a specialist in hair and scalp disorders. And so in that branch of my business, I offer clinical services where I help to analyze and understand the cause of hair loss and or scalp disorders in men, women, and children. And the study of trichology, or the practice of trichology, is homeopathic holistic techniques that are used in salon. And so after analyzing and consulting with a client who may be experiencing hair loss or scalp disorders, we then are able to develop treatments or a treatment plan for clients to help treat those particular discomfort or scalp discomfort and ultimately create an environment for healthy hair growth. If we analyze the scalp and determine that what the client is experiencing requires medical attention or prescription of any type, we work hand in hand with medical doctors to make sure that they get the treatment that they need. And we make sure that everything we do in salon is homeopathic and holistic. And we've been able to see great results in that side of our business because so many women and men and children experience some form of hair loss or scalp discomfort, even if it's something as common as dandruff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, let's get into a few hair tips. I think it would be we would do our audience a disservice if we didn't allow you to offer a little bit of what you do. Let's talk about a couple of things that we see are in the industry right now. I am experiencing, and I know many other stylists are, women who are, that may have been consistent salon goers, who got the relaxers every 4 to 6 weeks and all that stuff, but now they're interested in getting their natural texture back to getting their hair back to their natural state. So what steps would you suggest a woman take in order to grow out of that chemical, whether it be relaxers, colors, whatever that may be, and get their hair back to their healthy, natural state?
A woman could do is what's popularly called in the industry the big cap, where you literally cut off all of the damaged hair, and at whatever point it meets the healthy new growth. For a lot of women, that may mean a very short natural or short haircut. So there is a second option, because not every woman feels comfortable with extremely short hair or wants to have short hair. And so the second option would be a slow transition where you are regularly getting trims to trim off the damaged hair little by little. And in the meantime, you could either wet set your hair. There are a variety of different types of wet sets, whether that's, rollers, a braid out, a twist out, or going into protective styling, whether it be a weave, interlock weave, or any form of braids or twists, and just making sure that you are trimming off the damaged ends regularly. That process typically, depending on how much damaged hair the client has, it could take anywhere from 6 months to a year to trim little by little. But those are the two primary options. And in that process, I oftentimes encourage women to do it with a professional who can make sure that they're keeping your hair healthy with the use of the right products during the transition, and also keeping your hair styled in a way that makes you feel comfortable. Because the key thing, if you're going to transition little by little, is the hair is very fragile at that line of demarcation where the new growth meets the damaged hair. And so you want to reduce the incidence of breakage as much as possible.
Yes, that is so true. Now, being that you are on the natural side of the industry, I want to get your take on something, because I think sometimes consumers feel like they have to go to one extreme or the other. Do you, as a professional, think that it is possible for a woman to have a healthy head of hair and have chemical treatments?
Well, when it comes to chemicals, I really don't promote the use of chemical straighteners, I would say. I know that a lot of women do color, and the important thing about the science and the anatomy of hair, which is why I don't promote the chemical treatment, is that when you apply a chemical straightener to the hair, it just completely strips away that cuticle layer, damages it, and it just alters the chemical composition of the hair strand, making it more fragile and more prone to breakage. So the way that I encourage women, especially women of color and people who have curly hair textures, to celebrate the versatility of their hair is, if you want to wear your hair straightened, to just simply get it straightened with the use of a flat iron or a blowout with a professional who you trust is not going to apply too much heat to the hair, because you can still experience damage with heat styling tools that aren't used properly. But when it comes to the chemical straighteners, additionally, in my years of operating my clinic, which is going on 9 years, the reason why I shy away from promoting the use of relaxers to straighten the hair is because we're starting to see more and more women who are suffering from permanent forms of hair loss. Now, in a lot of the studies that I've been reading lately, there has not been a direct link of these scarring forms of alopecia to the use of chemical relaxers. But in a lot of recent studies, when dermatologists are testing to try to find out the cause or the source of this scarring form of alopecia, a number of the women who were tested were found to have used relaxers over an extended period of time. And so, having seen a lot of these women come into my clinic with scarring forms of alopecia or symptoms that are showing that they are experiencing a scarring form of alopecia, I don't promote the use of chemical straighteners. When it comes to color, I know that color adds variety again and versatility to hair styling. So really with color, I just like to really educate clients on the importance of conditioning treatments and using the proper products when you're wearing your hair color treated. And then also informing and educating them on what color does to hair, because the hair will still be in a more fragile state. So you just have to be very, very careful and diligent with how you are caring for your hair if you're going to color treat it.
Now, you mentioned chemical straighteners having being a potential cause to thinning or hair loss. Take us to the extension world, to that those girls who like sew-ins and braids. Do you feel that is also can be a cause to a lot of the hair loss and thinning that we're seeing in our culture?
Oh, definitely. I mean, of course, the use of extensions, it's been around for years. We, as women, we love to enhance our hair for length and volume. When it comes to the use of extensions, it really goes down to technique. There's so many talented professionals who know how to put a weave in your head and your hair will be fine, or know how to do braids and twists and your hair will be fine. So it's really, one, finding a licensed professional. And I stress licensed professionals because a lot of us have natural gifts. But there's something that happens when you actually go to school and you learn proper technique and you learn how to properly care for your client's hair. And that's an important piece when it comes to extension work, because a lot of women do and oftentimes experience permanent forms of hair loss because extensions, whether it's in the form of braids, twists, or weaves, were installed improperly. And so they have, again, another permanent scarring form of hair loss due to improper technique. So as we are in a place where more and more women want to enhance their beauty through the use of extensions, it's even more important that we're educating ourselves on proper technique to do it, because you can do it and it can be done healthy, but it has to be done the right way.
You heard it from the doctor, ladies. So please, when it comes to those hair weaves, stop going to the kitchen tissue. And I'm not knocking the kitchen tissue because, in some regards, some of us who are professionals started that way. But make sure that you become knowledgeable as a consumer. So that way, if you're going to someone, maybe you can't afford the salon. If you're going to someone who's maybe not licensed, you know what is proper procedure, and you can help guide them so that you don't have scarring results or things like hair loss and things of that nature. Now we're going to go into the trichology side of what you do, and this is something I think a lot of us want to hear about. When it pertains to dandruff, psoriasis, dermatitis, and other scalp issues, can you give us for that and possible remedies to those issues?
Well, dermatitis, there's different types of dermatitis. You have maybe more common forms like contact dermatitis, which is oftentimes a result of the body or scalp reacting to a product or an ingredient in a product, and so the symptoms may include itching or maybe light flaking or dandruff of the scalp. But then you have more severe forms of dermatitis like seborrheic dermatitis or seborrhea, which is more so autoimmune, so there's no cure for that particular type of dermatitis. It could be a result of hormonal changes. It could be a result of prolonged stress, or even genetic factors cause that form of dermatitis. So it's important to make sure that you understand, if you are experiencing any type of flaking or dermatitis, what the actual cause or source of that dermatitis is, so that you can begin to incorporate the proper products and or treatments, if they're prescribed by the doctor, into your hair care regimen so you can get the most effective results. Psoriasis, again, is another type of autoimmune type skin condition where there's no cure, but there are effective treatments and topical ointments that can be prescribed by a doctor. There are also some medicated shampoos over the counter, depending on the severity of the condition, that can offer relief from the itching or the plaques and flakes that can accumulate on the scalp. But again, it's important that we're properly identifying what it is that we are experiencing. Oftentimes, a lot of scalp conditions, because a lot of flaky conditions resemble or mimic one another, they are misidentified by the consumer and oftentimes by the stylist as well. And so they'll grab a Head and Shoulders or a Selsun Blue and think that's going to do the job, when really they may need to see a medical doctor and be prescribed something stronger. And so it's really, that's the thing that I emphasize to clients all the time, because there's so many different flaky scalp conditions, but understanding the origin or the cause of that flaking condition becomes more important, so you know how to get relief from it.
Okay, so in light of that, is there a way for the average consumer to kind of gauge whether, okay, this is something I can do at home and maybe find some kind of remedy, or I need to go see my dermatologist or doctor? What's a factor that they can say, okay, this is not a common thing, I need to get medical help? Is there a little thing that they should look for, or maybe the reoccurrence of a certain type of disorder?
Yes, I would say that if you're dealing with flakes on the scalp that are actually adhered to the scalp, or any form of chronic flaking or itching, you definitely want to see a professional, a medical professional, to determine exactly the cause of that flaking or the symptom of itching, so that you can use the right products. Because again, dandruff will typically manifest as powdery flakes that are in the hair, and again, may be a result of contact dermatitis. So your scalp is saying, you know what, I don't like this product, or I don't like this ingredient. And by simply eliminating that product, or no longer using products that have that particular ingredient that's causing the reaction, will get rid of the dandruff. But if it's chronic, and again, if those flakes are adhered to the scalp, then you need something that's going to be more effective, and oftentimes it may require a doctor's prescription.
Now, amongst all the many accomplishments you have, you've recently launched your hair care line, which I'm happy to say I was one of the first to purchase.
Yes.
And I had time to share with your dad there for a minute, and he has some great things lined up. He has some big plans, so I'm looking for great things from this line. But give us some insight on how the line came about. It's called And Carol by Dr.Kari. Tell us how it came about and what you plan to do with the line.
Yes, this is a 3-year-old idea. I've been working on this product line for 3 years. So being and working in the industry, I've always wanted to establish a product line, especially after working with a number of brands. I was blessed to work with Shea Moisture and Eden Body Works and African Pride, like so many different product lines. And being an educator and talking to consumers, I began to see where in the market I could contribute to our industry and begin to develop products to target particular needs that clients were experiencing. And so I began to do a lot of research and a lot of work on ingredients, and the ingredients that would specifically work to deal with different scalp discomforts and issues that clients were having. The name itself, my mother, she passed in 2006. And I've always wanted to do something to honor the memory of my mother. She was very, very supportive of me and my goals and my dreams. And so when I began to work on the product line 3 years ago, that's when I came up with the name. And I felt that it would be a great way to honor her and the influence that she had on me and how much she inspired me to continue to chase my dreams. So the name was definitely inspiration from my mother's memory. Her name is Carol Ann, so I just reversed it and thought Ann Carol sounded real good. And then the line itself is really just from, again, my experience, my research, talking to thousands of women and understanding their needs, what they're looking for. And I wanted the first line of products, which I'm calling the Essentials line. I really wanted the products to help establish a healthy foundation for hair growth. Because when I teach and I speak to women, the thing that I always stress is making sure that you have the products that will help keep your hair clean, help keep it conditioned, moisturized, and lubricated. And I find that a number of women were searching for products within different lines to do just that. So I wanted to dedicate my first line to those needs and keeping it simple so that whatever they choose to do as far as styling, whether it's doing heat styling and or keeping it natural, they have that strong foundation of healthy hair through the use of my products.
Great. Tell our audience how they can get their hands on your products, and also tell us what's next for Dr. Kari. Carol's your mom's name.
Yeah, Carol's my mama. Yes, you can find our products at anncarolbeauty.com. That's ANNCAROL beauty.com. You can also follow us at Ann Carol Beauty on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And what's next? I'm really working on building my educational platform. I love educating. I love speaking to people. But most importantly, I want to empower the individuals in our industry. Knowing that more and more people are dealing with issues of hair loss, we're becoming more aware of issues of hair loss, the causes, the consumers becoming more educated through the use of the internet, of ingredients and products. So I think it's important that as professionals, that we are staying ahead of the curve and we're able to assist our clients in understanding their hair growth, causes for hair loss, the ingredients in their products. We are the professionals, and I want to be a part of educating the professionals so that they can better serve their clients.
Amazing. Well, I am so glad you stopped by and talked to me today, and kudos on all of the magnificent things you have going on, and I am looking forward to all the great things to come. Well, this has been the Build on Beauty podcast, where beauty is born skin deep. I'm your host, Cornell Jermaine. Until next time, let your soul be made whole. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Build on Beauty podcast. For more information about our host, please visit cornelljermaine.com.